I think Gabriel Davis is a phenomenal run blocker. And the Bills ask this man to do so much, and he doesn't complain. And for the most part, he does a pretty good job. Obviously, there's times where he can't make those blocks, and it's usually against someone much bigger than him, or let's say, I don't know, a defensive end. I've seen him try doing that, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it's like he got blown up, and what did you expect? It's Gabriel Davis versus arguably the most athletic person on that defensive front. But in general, I think he does a really solid job run blocking, creating lanes, setting the edge. Good guy.
Yeah, I'm glad you went to that with your number one positive, because it was right up there with mine. And I think something with the wide receiver position, like, that's very easy to lose, especially when it pans to the ball and it's like on the other side of the field now. But first and foremost, his willingness to block. You see a ton of receivers that kind of just go through the motions. Like, he's willing, he's fairly competent at it, and he's doing it every play. And that, like, some of my favorite receivers in the game, you think about, like, in Eric Moulds, Hines Ward was one of my favorite. These dudes were nasty blockers too. Mm-hmm. And I love that about his game. And that I was debating, that was like kind of my 1B. My 1A of what I really love with Gabe Davis is his off script, just on the same page with Josh Allen, of like how many times Allen breaks the pocket and Davis is, 20-30 yards down the field and he peels back and cornerback's not expecting it. Or I forgot what team we were playing, but the one play where the clock's running out right before half and we're all like, why aren't we kicking a field goal here? And Josh is rolling to the right and just barely gets it off as he's going out of bounds, and Davis is headed towards the corner of the end zone and just peels back that half step, and it's a touchdown right before half. Just they're so in sync with that, and I think that mixed with, I think we're going to see a little bit of a change in philosophy this year. I think we're going to see a little bit more run game, and I think that's I think that's going to play really well into Gabriel Davis's skill set there.
Yeah, and he's probably going to see a lot more burn, more so than he already was, and hopefully this kind of draws defenders in so we can hit them over the top or more in the intermediate routes. And yeah, I think we all remember one of the big criticisms of Josh Allen when he was first coming out is that this man can't throw intermediate passes for shit. And then the next year he just bumps up. I don't think it's a coincidence that that's the year we got Cole Beasley and John Brown, but and also Gabriel Davis. But I think that's something to note. And I think with a stronger run presence, better offensive line, Josh Allen not having to scramble out of the pocket like within a second of the play, I feel like this team is poised to make a real step in the right direction, and that only benefits players like Gabriel Davis. So my next point here, it's going to sound like a repeat, but those highs, man, of his streakiness are just absolutely 1,000,000% ridiculous. Just straight up ridiculous for who he is. You're talking about, again, fourth round wide receiver, just dropping 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in a playoff game against the, at the time, Super Bowl defending champs, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, I believe so. They were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then after that, no, because the year before
was that the Brady one?
Yeah, because they got that. That's when because last year they got beat by the Bengals, and the year before that they beat us in the AFC Championship game, I think, and then they got absolutely destroyed by the Bucs, like absolutely demolished.
It's crazy how fast this time spectrum goes.
I know, it's Yeah, you know, you always really think about how quote unquote far ahead the Chiefs are from us, but they haven't been like they haven't had like they've had their downs. They have had their downs. The higher you go up, the like farther the floor is. Like, let's keep that in perspective. I know that us as fans sometimes get really frustrated that we can't get there right now, and it hasn't happened yet. But we're consistently in the dance and winning playoff games, which is really great to say. And Gabriel Davis is a part of that because, again, he has those ridiculous games. Without him, you maybe win the AFC East. I don't know. Like, who, if you take Gabriel Davis off of this, who else would you rather have? Who would you promote to take his spot? If you think Gabriel Davis is a better wide receiver 3 or 4, who's taking that spot? A free agent? Who? Someone on the squad? Someone on the team? Who? Feel like a goddamn owl.
So this actually plays into my next point too. Is I don't know if I necessarily consider this like a positive going for Gabe Davis, but kind of like my vision of this offense. And when I look at all the talent that we've acquired at wide receiver, you know, we still have Gabe Davis. You bring in Deontay Hardy. You bring in Trent Sherfield, Dalton Kincaid. I'm going to lump him in here. I'm going to call him a wide receiver for this exercise. I'm looking for this offense to kind of like go almost NBA and at wide receiver kind of be positionless. You're going to have Stephon Diggs be your clear and away number one. That's obvious. But when you look through the rest of that depth chart there, I think any one of these guys can have tremendous impacts on games in different ways. So like, yeah, we're in the slow time of year. Everybody's, you know, the next big thing we get is like the mini
Sliced
camps
bread.
and training camps, some sliced bread. But everybody's going to start doing, you know, their depth chart projections and all that. And wide receiver is a position that I don't really care how you list it on the depth chart. All these guys are going to get their shake. And I think if you use the skill sets the way they should line up, Shakir looks like he can be evolving into kind of that more of a possession, third and goal type of role. Deontay Hardy's got the speed to burn underneath like McKenzie did. He also plays outside. You have Kincaid that's going to, you know, Bean said it himself, Cole Beasley in a bigger body.
Swole Beasley.
Yeah. Right. And if you get, I like that. If you,
I can't take that. I believe someone, I heard that somewhere, and I don't know where I heard it from.
Whoever said that,
I thought it was funny.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if you can take all those skill sets and blend them together in whatever, if you want to call Gabe Davis your number 2, if we can get back to that usage that we had for him where he was, you know, the down the field beat you guy because you have to worry about Kincaid and Hardy and Sherfield underneath. And oh yeah, Diggs is still on the other side. I think when we see how the numbers shake out, we're not really going to care whether or not he's called the number 2 because he's going to produce the numbers with the right pieces around him.